Hi everyone, welcome back to the Glow Code podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I do have an update, but not an update. So I have been hinting on Instagram that we know the gender of our baby and we are planning a gender reveal with some of our family. So basically half of our family knows because we did a sneak peek test and I really didn't mean for it to get around, but there's a couple of loose lips in the family. So our NIPT test just confirmed the result of that sneak peek. But we do have family members who don't know, who we didn't tell about the sneak peek. We have a very large family, so if you're like, okay, but how could some people know and other people don't? It's because sometimes I can't keep up with everybody, and honestly, at first I wanted to do a gender reveal with the sneak peek, but it was just too close to Christmas. There was a lot of chaos around it, so I wanted to wait until we got the NIPT results. And now there has been a delay because I live in the Northeast and we've been getting snow basically every weekend for the past 3 weeks, I want to say. So it's kind of just pushed back everything. I mean, at this point, I might wait until our anatomy scan, which will be in about 3 weeks. So, I mean, that's not too bad, but I'm definitely just hinting on social media, and I know it might be a little bit aggravating. But with that being said, let's get into today's topic. I just want to start with a little baby update for those of you who were wondering. And yes, we are thriving, we are good, and my baby has really been motivating me and giving me a lot of creative energy. So we are here, we are ready to talk and teach and learn. So last week, I started watching a new show on Netflix called Sandokan. I'm pretty sure I said that right. It's taken me about a week to be able to say that right. And I usually don't watch action shows, but this had a really good love story in it. And I also saw this actor in another TV show. He is a Turkish actor. I don't think he's very well known in the United States yet, but I think maybe this show is starting to make him popular. So I watched this show and it basically follows this man who is a pirate, but he has some things from his past that he begins learning, and it's a very well-rounded story. There are some historical elements in there, and I don't think they are actually historically accurate. I do think it was for the sake of the show. But then there was that romance aspect. And there was a theme that came up that really made me think of my books and my storylines and characters around sort of combining these two archetypes of the prince and the warrior, or recognizing how one actually leads to the other. What I was thinking about was when we are little girls, we want the prince, right? We want to be given flowers or maybe chocolates. Maybe you just want to feel devoted to and treated right. Maybe the flowers and the chocolates aren't your thing, but you wanted the prince. And then as we grew up, maybe we got into this phase of wanting the bad boy. And now as adults, we're like, I just want a good man who is going to protect, provide, devote to me, love me, commit to me, all those things. And I think it is so refreshing to see in media today, whether it is in books or shows or whatever it may be, this combination of having this male lead who maybe does have some authority as a prince or something like that, but is also a warrior and a protector, and that tends to be very attractive, right? Because there is this balance both of safety and also feeling like we can just soften and be held and not hold our guard. What we often don't realize about the warrior, though, is that he is not going to make us stay small, and he is going to challenge us. This is the aspect of masculinity that I think a lot of women can feel anxious about or run away from, because in general, when we have habits, when we have a life that we're used to, we're gonna want to stay in that. We're just gonna want that comfort and that peace and that perceived stability. But when the warrior comes into our life, he has walked through darkness, and he is going to show us the way through our own. But that might not always be a comfortable thing. Now, I'm going to give a couple of examples from the show. If there is anything that's actually a spoiler, I'll make sure to tell you guys so that way you can skip forward. But yeah, in a way, this is kind of me dropping the hint to you guys to also watch the show because it was very good. So there is a scene where our male lead, Sandokan, he is in a disguise as a merchant, but he's actually a pirate. And he is invited to the female lead's birthday party because she rescued him on the beach. There was a whole situation they were dealing with. I'm not going to spoil that part for you. But she really opens up to him because she is in a life of privilege. Her father wants her to marry someone in a life of privilege, and she doesn't see that for herself, and she is happy where she is on this island that they're living in. And she tells him, sometimes I just want to run away and I want freedom, and she's just opening herself up about these things. And then he says to her, why don't you come with me on my ship and we can sail the world together? Now, of course, when you've only known someone for a couple of days, it's like, what? I don't really know you. But it was romantic to me in this episode. However, she is taken back by this and she says, you mock me. And there's also this whole conversation that they were having beforehand about darkness, and she was asking him, what do you do with darkness? And he says, you walk through it, and something about reaching the light on the other side. But she was very fascinated by it. She was very fascinated by him. And then the minute he proposes a possibility and an alternative to the life that she has, she gets very anxious. Her whole body kind of tenses up, and they bicker a little bit. She slaps him in the face. She runs away. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong, but that's how triggered she was. So when we meet a man who is more of the prince archetype, he is going to be the type where he is comfortable with what he has, but not in a way where he feels safe to want more. He's going to feel comfortable with where he is and not have the urge to pursue, whether that is pursuing a better life for himself, career-wise, financially, mentally, or pursuing you. This can also look like the man who has it all on paper and he looks like he has himself together, but when the time comes to get vulnerable, to talk about something, to walk through something uncomfortable, he shuts down and he becomes dysregulated. He may become dysregulated and have an addiction. He may become dysregulated and be avoidant towards you. There's just this energy of not wanting to interact with whatever that uncomfortable dark energy is. And we see this in the show with the female lead's other love interest, who is gaining the approval of her father to marry her. He looks great on paper. He looks like he has his life together. He has a title. But we see that he struggles with addiction. We see that throughout the course of the show, there are secrets that he has kept hidden beneath. And it reveals more of his dark side as we go along. Whereas with the warrior, that's all kind of just front and center. Now, that doesn't mean he is brutal or vicious. When I'm talking about a warrior, I'm talking about a man who, yes, is humble, but also knows how to move through danger or dysregulation or unfamiliarity. And you know exactly how he feels. He is not hiding from you how he feels. There's an element of anger in there, not at you, but just within himself, that he knows how to handle. The warrior is not the man who is going to start coming at you with insults or being abusive. That's not what this anger is that I am mentioning. This anger is motivation for how do I fix the situation? How do I move through this? And especially if this comes up in a circumstance where you're having a disagreement, it can be uncomfortable to feel that from him, to feel that intensity, but you don't have to question. There's never that thought in your mind of, is he going to do XYZ? How does he feel about XYZ? He is going to make sure, one, that you know how he feels, but that you are also feeling safe. And he is going to propose ways for you to handle the situation, whether he needs a little bit of space first or however you guys handle your disagreements. How I personally interpret the warrior is actually a more evolved version of the prince, because the prince might feel a little bit entitled and he doesn't know how to establish his place in the world. He isn't sure if he is capable or how to move through things. And when he does decide to step into that unknown and embody parts of himself that maybe he was shamed for, that is when he becomes this warrior archetype. We don't often realize this as women, but men are often told to be small too, and they don't know just how much of their energy or their aggression they should put on a leash. And when I'm talking about aggression, I'm not talking about violent, unhealthy aggression. I'm talking about ambition. I'm talking about their ability to step up and protect. It's that kind of energy. It's leadership, not violence or dominance or possession. So a lot of men can fall into this prince archetype of not going for what he wants or expecting you to take on the load of a lot of things because he doesn't feel safe, or he feels like he may receive backlash if he lets all of his masculinity come to the forefront. So when he evolves into this warrior archetype where he has moved through the darkness, moved through his things, believes he is capable, he is going to expect the same from you. Not in the same way though. He is going to want to establish peace for you and establish safety for you, but he's not going to let you get away with you self-sabotaging, with you being down on yourself, with you believing that you are not capable. And that can feel like a real blow to our ego because we might be like, what? I'm fine. My life is fine. I'm acting fine. I don't need to change anything about myself. This is just part of my personality. And he's going to be that mirror to say, I see more in you and I want you to rise up. That is the effect of true masculinity, is that it initiates more growth within our feminine. It provides a container for our feminine to heal and grow and feel nurtured. When I talk about feminine energy, I'm not talking about expression. I'm not talking about just putting on pretty dresses and makeup, even though those things can be very fun to do, and I personally enjoy those things. What I'm talking about is the ability to feel safe moving through the world, the ability to feel safe in your body and actually love and appreciate your body. I know that's something that a lot of women struggle with, especially if you maybe are on your period, or even if you're pregnant right now. You might have thoughts of not loving your body or feeling ashamed of your body. Or something else that can come up when we are not embodying our feminine is lack of creativity, not believing that we can be creative, or feeling scared to share our creative expression, which also ties in with our sexual expression. So there's just this energy of openness that comes with the feminine. And masculinity holds the space and the container and the cocoon for that to grow and evolve. Later on the show, what we end up seeing, I'm going to try to do this without giving away spoilers. Again, if I'm sharing details, I'll let you guys know. But we see that with this second male lead that is like the prince archetype, the female lead finds herself in situations where she has to make deals with him, and she's doing it out of, spoiler if you want to skip maybe like a minute or so, she's doing it out of her love for this other man. So this guy who is offering her marriage and a cushy life and all these things are right there with her, for her. And she feels like she cannot truly open up. She feels like she is sacrificing. If you have skipped a little bit, basically I was talking about one of the aspects of the female lead feeling like she needed to sacrifice her true desires. And that is what the prince archetype will bring out in you, where you feel like you need to sacrifice what you love or what you want, or something that you feel you need or want to do. He is not going to have the space for that. These are the men that are going to be intimidated by that. Now, from our point of view, from the female point of view, sometimes we can get into modes where we are trying to compete, and that can push a man away because we are trying to prove our worth through what we have done or what we can do rather than who we are. But that is a topic for another day. Coming back to the prince archetype, he is going to not be there for our evolution, and he will either rise up or he will stay in that entitled prince energy. The warrior, on the other hand, is going to be there through the evolution. He's going to be there through the ups and the downs, and we get to go along that ride with him, because with the warrior, he is going to have his own ebbs and flows, and sometimes we may perceive that as chaotic, but when he is regulated, when he has moved through it before, we actually feel softer and more safe. Because again, there isn't this energy of hiding, there isn't this energy of us needing to figure out the sky. It's just there for us, ready for us to either accept it or deny it. I really had to think about this a lot because even I can slip into the pattern of, if something is chaotic, then I need to shove it down and push it away because that doesn't feel good. But it's part of the process of finding peace. Moving through darkness or chaos is going to be a stretch, but that stretch can either be something that we allow ourselves to move through or we can resist it. And when you are with the warrior, he is going to stretch your aura, stretch your energy. I was going to say something else that was a little bit naughty, but you can probably figure out that one too. In order for us to receive that gift of the warrior masculine energy, though, we have to be willing to be open to it. We have to be willing to see masculinity as a mirror and a reflector rather than something we need to oppose. And when we have our goggles on for that type of energy, for the energy that is expansive and nurturing, we're going to find the warrior archetype instead of the prince archetype, or we may spot the difference sooner. And sometimes even in relationships, we can watch our partner go from prince to warrior based on our own energy. Because if we set the standard energetically for openness and expansion, that man is either going to come with us or he will fall away. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode of The Glow Code. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate down below so that way we can get this show out to more listeners, and make sure you are subscribed so you get notified for new episodes. I will see you all next time.